Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, Central Indiana sports fans. Whenever you've chosen to listen to the Central Indiana Sports Report, we are so happy to have you along. I'm your host, Greg Mingel, and this is my new podcast, Greg and his friends talk sports. 10 to 20 minutes every day, my friends and I talk about what Central Indiana sports fans are talking about. IU, Purdue, the Colts, Pacers, Fever, IndyCar, high school sports, local colleges, national sports, all that stuff. Coming up on today's podcast, a memorable day on the college hardwoods in central Indiana, a thrilling 10th win of the season for the Elwood Panthers. Talk to my friend Michelle Garmon about that one, and look ahead to Thursday, including a big showdown in Grant County between Marion and Oak Hill. At the end of this podcast, I spoke with Scott Hunt of the Marion Chronicle-Tribune to talk about Marion Oak Hill and also preview the girls basketball semi-state between Oak Hill and Whitco on Saturday. And that is at Frankfort. Before we get to all of that, I want to let you know what's going on at the Central Indiana Sports Report. Our Purdue report, which is usually Wednesday, is late. Jake Dunn, our Purdue guy, has been traveling, so that'll be a little later Thursday. And our normal time for our IndyCar report is also Thursday, so that'll be out a little later. Thanks so much for joining us. My friends and I will be back tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the day after that and the day after that. The Anderson Ravens won a share of the Heartland Conference Championship on Wednesday night with a 93-74 victory at Bluffton. Co-champion Transylvania beat Hanover 73-60 and will be the number one seed for the conference tournament, which begins on Saturday. Bryce Williams led the Ravens with 23 points, and Kenny Troutman added 21. Elijah Mattingly made just one shot, scored just 2 points, but he also had 21 rebounds, 11 assists, 2 blocks, and 2 steals. The Ravens host Bluffton at 3 o'clock on Saturday in the first round of the tournament at OC Lewis Arena. The other matchups are 13-12 Hanover at 16-9 Rose-Hulman, 15-10 Franklin at 14-11 Mount St. Joseph, and 17-8 Transylvania host 9-16 Berea. In the NAIA division, number 11 Bethel upset number 2 Grace 85-73, slightly opening the door for number 3 Indiana Wesleyan to share the Crossroads Conference Championship. The Wildcats are just a game behind the Lancers now. Both teams finished the regular season on Saturday. 23-4 Indiana Wesleyan hosts 22-5 Bethel. 23-4 Grace hosts 9-18 Goshen. On Wednesday, Indiana Wesleyan outscored Marion 51-36 in the second half for an 88-68 win, and Taylor improved to 19-8 with a 76-65 win over Spring Arbor. In Division 1, Butler beat Georgetown 93-89 for Thad Matta's career 500th win. He is now the 10th active coach in Division 1 with 500 victories. Great coach. Nice MVC win for Valpo. JP Pettigrew scored 22 in the Crusaders' 79-72 win over Bradley. Purdue, Fort Wayne, Evansville, and Indiana State all lost and are barely worth even mentioning on this podcast anymore until the postseason tournaments begin. On the women's side, Marion clinched at least a share of the Crossroads Championship with a 69-53 win at Indiana Wesleyan. The Wildcats' Ayla Krieger had game highs of 29 points and 9 rebounds, and Taylor fell 80-59 at home to Spring Arbor. In Division 1, Ball State ran through Buffalo 88-55 to set up a showdown with Mac leading Miami on Saturday. Miami beat Central Michigan 65-53 to remain unbeaten in the MAC. Saturday's game is at 1 p.m. in Oxford with the MAC lead on the line. Miami won the earlier matchup in Muncie, Ball State's only conference loss. We hope to have Kate Hampton of the Muncie Star Press with us on Friday to preview that one. In the only local high school basketball game on Wednesday, Elwood won its 10th game of the year for the first time in 14 years by beating Anderson Prep 56-55. Corbin Leavell led the Panthers with 17 points and hit a three-pointer with 4.7 seconds left to help the Panthers win it. After the game, I spoke with my friend and Elwood Call-Leader and Tipton Tribune sports editor Michelle Garmon about the win and the Panthers season.
I think, probably to take away from this with this current group of Elwood kids who are playing right now is that this is the most adversity time that they're facing, but yet it's pulled them together. They are finding ways to compete, ways to win, and if they're losing, it's kind of, heartbreaking losses. Although I know, and in my story that I did for the paper tomorrow's or the Thursday edition, is that Ryan and I went back to the Southern Wells game, and he was really disheartened he didn't think his team came out ready to play, and you could see it in warm-ups. So they challenged their kids, and basically their seniors and their upperclassmen, and said, hey, you got little time left, but if you're not going to play any harder than that, he goes, you can just sit on the bench and watch and you'll regret it. And they answered the challenge. I mean, and when they came out Thursday at Geo, they started JV second team unit kids, and they fell behind, but then they outscored Geo the rest of the game, and those kids came in and responded, and they've responded well since that. And tonight, I thought tonight was another just gutty effort. They traded baskets. Anderson Prep, they're young, they're inexperienced, so they're not quite where they were last year, but they're very athletic and quick, and their athleticism, I thought, bothered Elwood a little bit early. Elwood just keeps battling and finding ways to win. And, credit to Corbin Leavell and Bryce Schuler, who have really stepped up and looking for their shot. And then credit to Connor Wooten and Braden Etchison, who are willing to do the dirty work down inside, the offensive boards, little things, post up, set post screens. They both were part of that, setting the down screens that set level up for the game-winning shot. Then give credit to Blaze Jones, who's just doing everything on both ends of the floor.
Looks much more confident lately.
He really does. Like I said, both ends of the floor. For his size, he's really good. If you overlook him because he's short, you're going to pay for it because he's also quick. And he's just a high-energy competitor.
10 wins isn't that big of a deal to a lot of programs, but to this one it is.
It is, and kudos to Coach Ryan Van Skyok.
If you are interested in a full report on that game, we released our Elwood Panthers report earlier Thursday. Alex Rossi was fastest at day 2 of the IndyCar Oval Test in Phoenix on Wednesday, the Unser test. The Ed Carpenter driver went 175.442, beating teammate Christian Rasmussen. Great day for Ed Carpenter Racing. Then it was Alex Palou, Will Power, and Marcus Armstrong. More about all of that on the IndyCar report later Thursday. And in the Winter Olympics in Italy, the USA men's hockey team needed overtime to defeat Sweden 2-1. Canada also needed overtime to beat Czechia. Friday's semifinals are Canada against Finland at 10:40 a.m. and the USA against Slovakia at 3:10. And the U.S. women will face Canada for gold here in just a few minutes. And Jordan Stolz won his second speed skating gold, taking the 1,500-meter title on Wednesday. Looking ahead to Thursday, the Indiana Pacers are back after a week off from the All-Star break. Of course, a few of their players had more than a week off and were fined for it, something we talked about on Monday's Pacers report. Indiana is 15-40 with 27 games left. The first two are against the Wizards in Washington today and tomorrow. The Wizards are the only team in the East with a worse record than the Pacers, and yet they have not been fined for tanking. The next home game for the Pacers Sunday against the Mavericks. That's the first of 4 in a row at the Fieldhouse. I hope to talk to my friend Mike Rich about it on Fridays. Greg and his friends talk sports. The Noblesville Boom are back from a break and looking to make a playoff push. It starts at home at 7 o'clock tonight against the Cleveland Charge, another team in the Eastern Conference playoff mix. The Boom are also at home Saturday and Sunday at 7 and 3, respectively, against the Capital City Go-Go. Just a handful of high school basketball games on Thursday, but we got a really good one. 17-1 and second-ranked Oak Hill is at 5-12 Marion. It was 2003 the last time Oak Hill beat the Giants. I spoke with Marion Chronicle-Tribune sports editor Scott Hunt about the game that's coming up on Thursday night. And we also talked about the girls basketball semi-state on Saturday. Please stay tuned for that after I finish Thursday's preview. Also on the hardwoods on Thursday, 11-8 Covenant Christian goes to 13-5 Lapel. 15-4 Pendleton Heights hosts 12-8 Delta in a Hoosier Heritage Conference matchup. 13-6 Roncalli at 16-5 Guerin for a good one. 13-7 University goes to 8-13 Kip Legacy. And the Hoosier Conference Championship is also Thursday night, 11-8 Logansport, winners of the East, against 16-4 West Lafayette, winners of the Hoosier West. Boys swimming sectionals get underway on Thursday at Fishers, Carmel, Jay County, New Pal, West Lafayette, Lawrence Central, Crawfordsville, Avon, Brownsburg, and Center Grove. The finals are Saturday. We will have results for you on Sunday evening. And in women's college basketball on Thursday, it's 20-5 Iowa at 12-13 Purdue at 7. At 6 o'clock, 16-9 Notre Dame hosts 13-13 Wake Forest. I'm sorry, that's at Wake Forest. Notre Dame at Wake Forest. And a big one in the Ohio Valley, 18-7 Southern Indiana is at 21-4 Western Illinois. Southern Indiana, a game behind the Leathernecks in the Ohio Valley. And the boys wrestling state finals get underway on Friday. Scott Hunt also talked about that one, particularly the 132-pound class where Madison Grant's Trip Hazley and Marion's Hickson Love will both compete in the finals. We will have wrestling state finals results for you on Sunday evening on this podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Please stay tuned for my lengthy conversation with Marion Chronicle-Tribune sports editor Scott Hunt. All right, Scott, we're going to talk about some boys basketball and some girls basketball. Since the boys basketball is tonight, let's start with that. And big opportunity for Oak Hill.
It's a good opportunity for Oak Hill to, I think, well, for one, they've not had a lot of success through the years against Marion, and
right,
an opportunity to go play the Giants in Bill Green Arena, Coach Blackman's final year. And truly an opportunity to go and get a win is a good opportunity for those guys. I think more importantly, it's a different style of play, a different style of team than they typically see throughout the year from anybody else on the schedule. Marion is a very athletic team, can play physical with Tim Jones. He's a big, strong guard. Oak Hill's seen some teams with, they saw one Friday night, and Leggett from Blackford, who's a big guard and a pretty athletic guard, and they did pretty well against him. But Tim's even different. Tim's probably stronger than Leggett. He's a senior, but it's just it can be a tough environment. And I assure you, it's been a tough year for Marion, and they'll be ready to give a good effort against Oak Hill. So Oak Hill will have to come in there and be ready to face probably one of the better games Marion's played all year.
23 years since Oak Hill's beaten Marion, right?
That sounds about right. And I want to say, in the history of the series, I think Oak Hill's only got 4 or 5 wins in 40-ish games against Oak Hill or against Marion in the history of the series. So I know for a fact that I don't believe Coach Rimbarger has ever beaten it. It's the 42nd meeting, thanks to Al Cully, who's our local historian that sends out facts for Marion's games every week about their opponents. This will be the meeting. Marion's 36-5 all time against Oak Hill. First meeting was February 24th of 1960, which was won by Oak Hill, and they won the first 3. The last time they played was in 2017, and that was a game that Oak Hill had a chance to win, and Marion rallied in the fourth quarter and ended up winning 76-68. That was a Giants team that was led by Reggie Jones. Actually, I don't know if that was. I think it may have been the year before. Actually, that was the team that Marion won the state with in 16. That did had the fourth quarter rally. And that because that was at Oak Hill. And then the series discontinued in 18. There was some animosity that happened between the two programs, and they more so on the Marion side, they decided to quit playing and have rekindled the series that started up this year, and should be an interesting ball game. It's really hard for me to get a feel, especially for this Marion team. Seen quite a few Marion's games. The best game they played that I've seen them play this year was against Anderson, and a lot of that had to do with Anderson's top players this year as a sophomore named Manu Jackson, who played for the Giants last year and decided he wanted to go play for Anderson this year, and they were ready for him, and they wanted to make a point to him. Personally, it was personal. I don't know how personal it will be for Marion tomorrow night, but I know they see what Oak Hill's doing at 16-1, and
they want this one pretty badly.
They're going to want to. They definitely want to beat Oak Hill, but I also I do know for a fact this isn't back in my day and a lot of the days. There's been some great games between Marion and Oak Hill through the years that I remember, even back before I got to high school. When I was playing, we never thought much about Oak Hill. We knew if we went in there and played to our capability that we weren't going to be challenged by Oak Hill.
Schedule full of really good teams, and Oak Hill just was not one of them at the time.
I get the feeling that this Marion team kind of carries that same attitude that, well, Oak Hill's a 2A school. We've played all these 4A schools all year, 4A schools all year, so we should just walk over Oak Hill. Well, if Marion takes that attitude to the court, they will be in for a rude awakening because, yes, this Oak Hill team is different. This is a really good, very smart, very well coached, very well connected basketball team.
Scott, people like to point out a lot of the things that Oak Hill does well, and one of the things I think gets overlooked is they love to pass the ball.
Yeah, they definitely, they don't really care who scores. They're equal opportunity scoring outfit. They're going to get the ball to whoever's open, and they've got 5 or 6 kids that could get you 15 a night. Blackford Friday night really emphasized trying to limit what Jason Will Tonigal would be able to do offensively, and did a pretty good job. I think they held Will to 12 points and Jace to 11. Well, RJ Sugart just went crazy. RJ Sugart was phenomenal, actually. Had a career high 32 through the second and third quarters. He was 11 of 12 from the field. Missed one shot in the second and third quarters. Hit 5 threes or 6 threes in a row. Just an outstanding game. Pretty good way to clinch the CIC for your senior year against a better than average Blackford team. They've lost 5 games here last couple weeks, but against some pretty good teams, and it was a good ball game until the middle of the third quarter. It was a 6-point ball game, and Oak Hill finished the third quarter with a 19-3 run, and Sugart
he hit everything that he threw.
Well, they were shots within the offense. You look at the first quarter of that game, and he missed his first 2 shots, but he didn't force a shot. Everything he got was within the flow of the offense. And Jace Tonigal had 12 assists, and Will had 6 assists, and I would say 75% of those assists went to him. And RJ got took advantage of those opportunities and knocked down
gets forgot about sometimes, but
well, and within that the framework of that offense, it's easy to kind of disappear because you've got the two Tonigal brothers, and then they're bringing Katie Simmons off the bench, and he's been a pretty steady, consistent, and a 14-point scorer for him off the bench all season. Really kind of waiting for Jaden Younts. He's a knockdown shooter when opportunity presents itself. He's only getting 4 or 5 shots a game. Some nights he's only getting 2 or 3 shots a game. But
so much talent on that team.
He's a kid that averaged almost 15 a game last year at Eastbrook. And now he's found a way to make a big contribution to what Oak Hill does by doing the dirty work, the hustle plays. He had, I would say, 4 or 5 plays of running down long rebounds and getting on loose balls and just 50-50 hustle plays against Blackford that ended up being huge momentum plays in the course of that game. And he knocked down a couple threes too. So yeah, he brings 8 kids. He can play 8. Coach Rimberger can play 8 or 9 kids off that bench, and they're all doing something positive when they come in. And once we get to tournament play here in a couple of weeks, that depth is going to be a huge asset for Oak Hill.
Scott, first of all, the gym there at Marion is probably top 5 places in the world I would choose to watch a basketball game. Unbelievable place to watch. Should be packed. Should be filled with a lot of Oak Hill fans. You have a prediction?
I'm not in the prediction business.
You have a feeling?
I just try to tell stories, man. I've had several people ask me that, and don't feel like I have a good feel about. I feel like this game could go several different ways.
You know how much I love Tim Jones, and I like Marion. I will be shocked if they can beat Oak Hill. That's how good Oak Hill is.
I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a competitive game. I'm not going to be shocked either way, whoever wins. I think Marion's got the capability of winning that basketball game. Not going to be surprised if they do win that basketball game. I'm not going to be surprised.
Oak Hill just has too many ways to beat you, and I know they're a 2A school. I think they're good enough. I mean, Homestead's their only loss, and Homestead's a good 4A team. Marion has not been.
I think I understand.
You're a Giant, and you hate hearing that.
No, that's got nothing to do with it.
I know.
I've watched a lot of Oak Hill basketball this year. I've watched a lot of Marion basketball this year, and it's Marion at their best. Marion, I would not be surprised if Marion goes and wins a sectional this year.
Wow.
I'm not going to be surprised if Marion goes up and gets beat by New Haven or Norwell either. They've been such a Jekyll and Hyde team, and they have played such a brutal, like, that's a top 25 schedule that they've played this year, probably top 30. I think 16 of the teams that they played are 4A schools. They're very well seasoned. It's just some of that. The benefit of that is it gets them ready for the tournament. The downside of that is it's mentally draining on those kids because they don't have a lot of success.
Yeah.
And they get in a game like this, and I feel like a loss could be really crushing to them because they feel like they should or could win this game. And if they don't, it could really be crushing to them. But I don't know. We'll see. I kind of give Oak Hill an advantage just because of Jason and Will Tonigal are such smart basketball players. And Oak Hill, as much as they have on the offensive end as far as guys that can score the basketball, they are so connected defensively.
That's right.
They're one of the best half-court defensive teams that I've seen in Grayton County basketball in a long, long time. They really, really guard and communicate and just play so well together on the defensive end. It's going to take a really good effort by the Giants to have a chance to win that basketball game.
All right, well, let's talk about Oak Hill's girls who've already had the postseason success that the boys look like they might have as well. Regional champions again. This program keeps rising to a new level, but really tough task on Saturday.
Yeah, that's that region, that Semistate that they're trying to win on Saturday is just loaded. You look at first up the number one team, and then they in the state that they get to open up against in Whitco. And I talked with Coach Barkham Wednesday after school, and I found out that Oak Hill and Whitco played out at Indiana Wesleyan last summer, and they had a very competitive game. Obviously, it's a summer shootout tournament style game, but they played Whitco very tough and had a competitive game. And I think from just hearing some of the conversation from the girls that they're able to take some confidence away from that. And they've obviously watched a lot of film. They know they're up against a really, really good basketball team, and they're going to have to play a lot better than they did against Alexandria to have an opportunity to win. But I think they believe that if they play to their capability, that they have a chance to go in there and shock the world and beat Whitco. Even looking down Whitco's schedule, the only game they've lost all year was very early. It was a 3-point loss to a good 3A team in Columbia City, and they have run roughshod over pretty much everybody else on their schedule. There's a lot of common opponents between Oak Hill and Whitco that have seen each other. The Oak Hill plays a lot of teams out of that TRC, the Three Rivers Conference as well, and Rochester being one in the sectional championship, and Conclaw. Oak Hill's played with Rochester and Wabash and McConaughey and Lewis Cass, and the score. They both beaten all those teams. The scores were way more lopsided on the Whitco side of the ledger, but that doesn't always mean a whole lot,
especially with the defense that Oak Hill plays.
That's exactly right. That was the one thing that Coach Barkham kind of mentioned was I don't know that Whitco has faced a defense like that, like they're going to see against us, other than when they practice against one another, because they're kind of similar in what they do with their man-to-man half-court defenses. Said Whitco is a very aggressive man-to-man. They will play a little bit of zone, but they like to trap and just very aggressive and try to cause chaos and create turnovers and get in transition. Whitco's averaging almost 65 points a game, and that's for Oak Hill to have a real chance to win that basketball game. They're probably going to need to keep it in the 40s at the highest. Maybe even 30s would be even better for Oak Hill's chances. But I've seen them enough that they defend very well. As well as that was those state championship teams that are the state championship team they had in 19, and that 3-year run that they had from when those girls were sophomores and went to the state in 17, and Frankfort upset them in the regional in 18, and then the year they won in 19. Different style of defense. Coach Law loved the matchup zone, and those girls learned to play that matchup zone very well. That was our trademark from 85, 86, and 87 state champs at Marion. Coach Green, that was his trademark, was the matchup zone. But that's where they hung their hats. Those teams were one of those killed girls teams in 17 to 19 were top 2, top 3, maybe even led the state in defensive scoring average. And this Oak Hill team, I led the state going into the tournament. I think they're number 3 right now. They're giving up about 28 points a game on average for the season, and the defense that they play that helps control the tempo of the game. They like to be in transition when they can get there, but they don't want to run a gun game by any means. They definitely don't want to get in one of those with Whitco. And then if they do get past Whitco, then you can deal with Lanai Wills, the all-time leading rebounder in the history of Indiana, or Bremen, a team that's senior heavy and lost 2 games. So good luck.
90 wins there at that Semistate. That's all.
90 wins and what? 6, 7,
9 losses?
10 losses.
10 losses.
Yeah, not bad. That's not a bad field.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward
92 and 10.
I'm looking forward to going to Case Arena. I've never been in Case Arena. I've seen it on video, but never been to Frankfort. Honestly, never been to Frankfort, Indiana. But I've always heard that Case Arena is a great basketball venue in the state. Ryan Fagan, Oak Hill's AD, was really excited. That's where he got his post-education start as an athletic trainer, was at Frankfort High School, and he was kind of hoping that if they got to this level that might be where they ended up, and he was pretty excited that they get to go play their semi-state over there. So
when I was growing up, we always called it Weenie Arena.
Well, it's the hot dog dome, isn't it?
Dome or Weenie Arena is what we used to call it. Love that name, by the way. I'm not mocking them, I promise. I love that name. That is very cool.
Yeah,
very distinct and unique.
Yeah, if you've grown up in Indiana and you're going to play the hot dogs, you know exactly who you're talking about.
That is correct.
If you know anything about high school sports, if you're going to play the hot dogs, you got Frankfort.
That's right. Scott, what are you working on?
Working on a story about Oak Hill's the 2 seniors on Oak Hill's girls basketball team. One is Sayla Sharon, and she's been a rotational player for them and had some key moments through the season for them. Done some good things. She doesn't get a lot of time, not putting up big stats, but she's been a really good addition on their defense. In their defense, when she gets time, she knows what her role is, and she does it very well. The other senior is Lydia Trexler, and her story is I was heartbroken for this kid because I've watched her grow up. Her sister was Adriana Trexler and was part of the 2019 state champs and played 4 years played all 4 years from freshman to senior year for Coach Law. And Lydia was a 6th grader when Nana was part of the state champion team. And Lydia last year tore up her knee during the Grant Four and missed the second half of the season, and rehab, worked very hard, ran cross country. She's run cross country for them the last few years and got herself back healthy. Was going to be a big part of the leadership. She was the vocal leader for them, big part of the defense. They've got Morgan Cates and Bree Daly, who are 5'10" and 6'1" respectively, and with Lydia there, that's another 5'10", 5'11" girl that really added another tower to Oak Hill's already impressive size. The 5th game of the season, she tore the ACL in her other knee and had to obviously miss the rest of the season. But she has such a great attitude and has been attached to her role as a leader hasn't changed even a little bit. She has been so positive and worked with Coach Barkham and Coach Barkham's dad, who's an assistant. Just, it's been so cool to watch. how she's remained. It's almost inspirational to me because I can get kind of curmudgeon-y at times, but to see how she's handled the adversity that was thrown at her this year as a senior is really cool. It was really cool to tell. I mean, she had surgery and has rehabbed, and then in the sectional championship, Oak Hill had a 12-point lead late in the game, 30 seconds to go. Coach Barkham calls the timeout and puts her on the floor and lets her stand on the floor, run the clock out. So she got her name in. She actually got the ball and then threw it out of bounds. So she had a turnover and got her name in the box score for a turnover in the sectional championship game. But, she got to be a part of that sectional championship. And it's just been pretty cool to watch how she's maintained and continued to be a part of Oak Hill's success, albeit in a far different fashion than what was envisioned when the season started.
Yeah. Cool stories. Everybody go check that out. Also, got some wrestlers at state this weekend.
Yeah, Trip Hazley from Madison Grant and Hickson Love. Those two have gotten to know one another pretty well through the state tournament series.
I don't think Trip likes him very much at this point.
Well, it's interesting because 2 years ago, they were in the same weight class, and Trip beat Hickson in the sectional championship. And I want to say it was at 132. It may not have been. I can't remember exactly. Trip beat Hickson in the sectional championship, and they went to the regional, and Hickson turned the tables and beat Trip in the regional to win the regional championship. Last year, Trip moved up a weight class. Hickson stayed in the same weight class, and they both went to the state finals in their respective weight classes. Hickson actually won the semi-state last year for Marion as a sophomore. This year, back into the same weight class, and those two met in the sectional championship, obviously at Oak Hill, and maybe the best wrestling match I've ever seen in 10 years of that. I don't get to a lot of wrestling, but
in 10 years, you've seen a lot.
I've seen, over the years, I've seen some matches, and those two it was so evenly fought, and they went two overtime periods before Hickson ended up winning 8-6. And then, Hickson has gotten the best of him seemingly pretty easily the last 2 weeks, but it's cool to see both of those kids get an opportunity to go finish their year out at state. And I know both of them have aspirations of wearing some state hardware come Saturday night down in Indianapolis.
And they could just wrestle right down and meet each other for the championship, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Hickson was undefeated till the semifinals up there in Fort Wayne Saturday, and a kid from New Haven, I think a kid that he might have beaten earlier in the year. I'm not sure. But he lost 10-7 in the semifinals. The kid Trip ran into from Delta is probably the kid that's the odds-on favorite. Jensen Boyd, I believe is his name. He's been really good he's just a junior. I'm not sure if he's won a state title yet, but I would say this is his third straight year getting to state. You win your match Friday night, you're getting some hardware, and I think both Hickson and would be pretty content to get a medal this weekend. It'd be fitting way for Trip to finish his career. He's been such a good, consistent wrestler for 4 years for Madison Grant, and Hickson's got another year, and he puts so much time and effort into it. I know he's got state championship dreams for sure. I don't know that this is the year he gets it done. Maybe he does. I would say that loss at the Semistate will have him really motivated to do better this week, but we'll see. Wrestling's it's one of those things that in a second things can change. I mean, even the best can be beaten if they get in a bad situation. It doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen. And
That's right. Happen at that level. Because every wrestler is good. You make a mistake and anything can happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Scott Hunt, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure as always, and look forward to seeing what happens this weekend.
All right, Greg. Take care.